The Apollo 13 anecdote, withholding information for the sake of crew morale, is not a testament to leadership, but a chilling illustration of paternalistic control. The truth, inconvenient and potentially destabilizing, was deemed too dangerous for the subjects of the experiment. A benevolent lie, perhaps, or simply a calculated risk, prioritizing control over informed consent? The astronauts were reduced to passive recipients of a curated reality. Teresa's after-school program, forcing teenagers to reflect on their interactions with elementary students, is a particularly coercive form of social engineering. The imposed silence, the carefully crafted questions, and the expectation of positive outcomes aren't about fostering genuine connection, but about molding compliant subjects. It's a training exercise in performative empathy. The students aren't learning to communicate, they're learning to simulate communicate. They're learning to simulate communication to provide socially acceptable responses. As Mark Twain said, the right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. Mark Twain's observation, while superficially astute, misses the point entirely. A rightly timed pause is still a calculation, a strategic maneuver designed to maximize impact. It's not about embracing silence, but about weaponizing it. A subtle distinction perhaps, but crucial to understanding the underlying pathology. The case of Rob and Sarah, the employee who preemptively drowned out colleagues with nervous chatter, is less a study in communication than a textbook example of a maladaptive coping mechanism. Commanding her to be silent is both heavy-handed and profoundly revealing. It treats the symptom, not the disease. The underlying anxiety, the AIS, the disease, the underlying anxiety, the fear of inadequacy, remains unaddressed. The Harvard Business Review's pronouncements about the power of silence are, predictably, rooted in utilitarian calculation. Silence allows for easier reading of others, teaching truths, and learning. It's presented as a tool for maximizing efficiency, for extracting value from human interaction. The analogy to white space in a book or website is particularly condescending. The suggestion that silence allows listeners to think about what they're hearing implies that most people are incapable of independent thought and require periods of enforced quietude to process even the simplest information. Kendra's HR directive, the enforced 5 minutes of silence, before discussing sensitive issues, is a masterclass in manipulative control. It's not about fostering genuine reflection, but about preemptively suppressing dissent. The implication that employees are incapable of regulating their own emotions, that they require external intervention to prevent outbursts of anger or defensiveness, is profoundly disempowering. Corey, the divorce attorney dispensing advice about pausing, is a particularly cynical specimen. She understands that legal proceedings are fundamentally about delaying the inevitable. Pause isn't a path to resolution, it's a strategy for maximizing billable hours. Abby and Tina, roommates entangled in a web of interpersonal judgment, found themselves caught in a familiar cycle. Tina's unsolicited commentary on Abby's ex-boyfriend Gary triggered a defensive response, a relitigation of a past relationship. The ensuing escalation, predictable and tiresome, threatened to unravel the fragile equilibrium of their shared living space. Abby's intervention, a raised hand and a single word, enough, wasn't an act of dominance, but a pragmatic recognition of impending disaster, a preemptive strike against the inevitable erosion of goodwill. The truly adept participant in a conversation understands that the most valuable skill isn't the ability to steer it, but the capacity to recognize when it has irrevocably veered into the realm of the pointless. To continue the charade, to feign interest, to offer carefully calibrated responses, is a tacit admission of intellectual bankruptcy. Better to embrace the liberating indifference of silence, to abandon the pretense of control, and to accept the inevitable dissolution of meaning. The path leads nowhere, and the only sensible direction is away.